Hey there guys, Ed over here with FICM Repair. So, reading your comments about my recently published videos about alternator wiring inadequacies and alternator sizing on Power Strokes, somebody said, hey, you really should have a video on the inadequacy of the alternator itself. And it's like, well, yeah, check out my YouTube channel. I'm just FICM Repair on YouTube. You can find me there. I've got an exhaustive video talking about that. But the Clip Notes version there is that you have a 230 amp draw on the charging system on your Power Stroke 6.0 following ignition for as long as 2 minutes after the truck starts, depending on oil temperature. So if it's on like a 90-degree startup, who even cares, right? It's like it glow plugs around for like a half a second after ignition, doesn't really matter. But at like 50, it's 45 seconds. At 30, it's 1 minute and 15. At 0 degrees and colder, it's 2 minutes. And it's just like, oh my God, that's a lot. And the stock alternator is 110 amp on the single alternator trucks, which only does 75 amps at cold idle. So 75 amps at cold idle to offset a 230 amp draw is just not awesome. Now, if you're one of the cool kids, you have a dual alternator truck. You're like, I got two. You don't understand. I'm good here. Well, recognize your upper alternator is 140 amp, and your bottom alternator is 120. But those are just marketing numbers yet again. The 140 amp does 85 amps at cold idle. The bottom one does 78 amps at cold idle, and it's a Russian roulette, a little trip to the casino on what alternator is going to go ahead and take over at ignition. So what alternator is going to get energized at ignition? And that is a random choice made by the ECM. So both of those bad boys are not on right after your truck starts, and it's because the cabling can't hang, and Ford knew that. And so rather than putting appropriate cables on there, they said, you know what, when the glow plugs are on, we'll just go ahead and take the battery draw off. This is the reason why, if you're monitoring battery voltage, what you'll see is that right after ignition, you're not at 13.5 and 14, you're at 12. And 12 is the exact same number, 11.9, 12, 12.1. It's exactly the same number that you were on, key on, engine off, when you had the little wait to start light on, that little circular little guy. People call it a glow plug light. It's not what it is. It's a wait to start light. Just because that light turns off does not mean your glow plug have shut down. It's not how it works. But you have a 160 amp draw and you were down to 12 volts. And right after the truck starts, you're back at that same 12 volts. Well, why is that? Well, that's because 230 amps minus 75 amps is 155 amps, which sounds a whole lot like 160 amps key on engine off. So stock alternator is ridiculously too small for the application. So if you live in a southern climate, take a look at our 185 amp alternator. That's good for most everybody. No cabling upgrades necessary to run that bad boy. It does 130 amps at cold idle. If you live in some place where you understand what cold weather is, take a look at our 240. It does 190 at cold idle. And if you run some Bama Jamma stuff, well, by all means, we got bigger than that too, right? You got 320, 370, even come out with a 400 amp. Holy sweet Jesus. All kinds of current. So the goal is never to sell you stuff. We just want you to be aware. But the average life expectancy for batteries in a Power Stroke 6.0 is 2 years. I average 7 years on my batteries in my 6 Power Stroke 6 liters. And it's not because I'm running better batteries. It's sort of running a bigger alternator. So if you run a bigger alternator, your batteries will last longer, and all the FICM is an amplifier with a brain. So the number one reason why FICMs are dying is because of inadequate or screwed up supply side voltage from a bad voltage regulator. So that's the commercial for getting something bigger. We'll shoot some more videos on this topic as well. All right? But for right now, FICMRepair.com, we're all in this together. Thanks.